Chapter 1: The Broken Apprentice. The streets of Velthorin were a tapestry of polished stone and whispered promises. For most, the city was a sanctuary of equal opportunity, a place where a boy's birthright meant little against the weight of his ambition. Thradusa, the son of a modest baker, grew up believing that mantra. He spent his youth in the grand hall of the academy, his palms stained with ink and his mind saturated with arcane theory. But the academy was a crucible, and not all fire purifies. A trio of senior warlocks, Siren, Valter, and the aloof high enchanter Kael, saw in him a rival, a threat to their own fragile ascendance. Their mockery began as jokes, then turned to sabotage, a miscast spell that singed his fingertips, a cursed scroll that left a black mark blooming on his cheek, a whispered rumor that painted him as a traitor to the council. By the time the final humiliation arrived, a public trial where his own apprentices testified that he had betrayed the very art he claimed to love, Thradusar's heart was already cracked. When the council sentenced him to exile, the last stone of his dignity fell. He left Velthorin not as a disgraced scholar, but as a broken man, clutching a single charred grimoire that had survived the fire of his own humiliation. In the wilderness, under the howling wind of the blackened peaks, he stumbled upon a ruined keep shrouded in perpetual twilight. Its stone walls dripped with a darkness that seemed to pulse in rhythm with his bruised pulse. Inside the keep, a voice as smooth as melted obsidian greeted him. "You seek power, or you simply seek revenge?" The silhouette that emerged was cloaked in midnight, its eyes twin coals of scarlet fire. It was Mithrostia, a warlord whose name was whispered in outlaw taverns and cursed in markets. He was a master of necromancy and a collector of broken souls. "What do you want?" Thradusar asked, his voice trembling with equal parts fear and fury. "Only what you already desire," Mithrostia replied. "Your pain, your yearning to make them your former masters pay." In a pact sealed by blood and arcane sigils, Thradusar gifted his lingering humanity for a portion of the warlord's dark might. He became a warlock, his skin now tinged with violet veins that glimmered whenever he summoned the infernal currents. Under Mithrostia's tutelage, he learned to bend shadows, to summon the husks of the dead, to channel curses that could fracture a mind. For a season, the apprenticeship seemed fair. The warlord treated Thradusar as an equal, at least as an instrument. Yet beneath the veneer of mentorship, a deeper, more insidious motive brewed. Months later, two of Mithrostia's most trusted servants, Myra, a witch with serpentine tattoos, and Garruk, a hulking brute of a death knight, uncovered a dispatch from Velthorin's council. A covert search party, led by the high enchanter Kael himself, was scouring the mountains for the missing apprentice. Their hope was to bring Thradusar back, to force him to face judgment, and perhaps to use his knowledge against the warlord. Seeing an opportunity, Myra and Garruk approached their master with a fabricated warning. "The warlocks and witches of Velthorin have sent hunters. They will not rest until they extinguish your flame," Lyra hissed, eyes glittering with a false urgency. Mithrostia feigned surprise, then turned his gaze to Thradusar, who stood on the balcony of the keep staring into the abyss. "You must leave this place," the warlord commanded. "Go far beyond the peaks. Train in the forgotten ruins of Nira. There you will become a weapon they cannot comprehend." Thradusar's heart hammered. The thought of being hunted, of those who once mocked him turning into mortal threats, ignited a feral hunger within him. With a grim nod he departed, his cloak billowing like a dark banner. The ruins of Nira were half sunk beneath a swamp of poisonous lilies. Here Thradusar endured trials that would have broken lesser men. He wrestled with spectral leviathans, wrestled his own doubts, and forged a new arsenal of curses spells that could twist bone, summon corrosive miasma, and bind a soul to a blade of pure obsidian. He learned to hear the whispers of the earth, to read the tremors of the dead, and to channel his suffering into a focused, unrelenting fury. Months turned into years, and his name became a legend whispered among the outcasts. The Black Apprentice, the shadow of Velthorin. Yet unknown to him, two pairs of eyes followed his every step, Myra and Garruk, but also a third, unseen until the night the moon hung black as ink. The shadow steps forward. The night Thradusar stood atop the highest ruin, the wind carrying the stench of rot and the promise of storm, a figure stepped from the gloom. Cloaked in midnight, its presence seemed to swallow the moonlight itself. "Mithrostia." Thradusar's voice cracked. a mixture of anger, disbelief, and a tinge of relief. The warlord emerged, his scarlet eyes brighter than ever, his aura a vortex of darkness. "I have been watching you," he said, his tone both amused and reverent. "You asked to return to bring ruin upon Velthorin. I have no intention of letting you walk back alone." Thratus's hand clenched around his obsidian blade. "Why follow me? Why linger on this path when you could have left me to my own vengeance?" Mithrostia smiled, a thin line that revealed nothing. "Because, boy, you are not the only one who suffered under the Council's hollow promises. You are a conduit, a living weapon. Together, we can topple the gilded throne that pretended equality while crushing anyone beneath it." A flicker of doubt crossed Thradusa's mind. The warlord's words were honeyed with truth. Velthorin had indeed been a facade, a gilded cage. Yet a darker curiosity gnawed. What did the warlord truly gain? "You think I will simply give you my army of the dead?" Thradusa scoffed, his voice echoing off the ruined arches. "What do you, a warlord of shadows, stand to gain if Velthorin falls?" Mithrostia's gaze softened, not out of kindness but calculation. "When the council falls, the power vacuum will beckon. My dominion, built upon fear, will be unchallenged. But more than that, there is a seal, an ancient ward bound to the city's heart. It keeps the oldest of the world's evils dormant. Your curse, forged in pure hatred, is the key to shattering it." A silence settled, heavy as the swamp's fog. "The seal," Thradusa whispered, remembering an old tale his mother used to tell of a darkness beneath Velthorin that even the council feared. "If you break it, you unleash an ancient horror upon the world." The warlord inclined his head. "Exactly. And when that horror devours the city, the survivors will look for a shield, a protector. I will be that protector. I will command the terror, and they will bow to me." Thradusa stared into the abyss of Mithrostia's plan. The warlord's motives were clear: power, dominion, and the delicious irony of becoming both harbinger and savior. The night stretched, the storm finally breaking over the ruins. Lightning tore the sky, illuminating the ruins' basalt columns and bathing them in a harsh white light. Thradusa felt the black fire within him surge, yearning for release. He could walk back to Velthorin, unleash a storm of curses that would tear the city apart, and watch the council burn in his own blood-red rage. Or he could accept Mithrostia's pact, become a pawn in a larger scheme that would unleash a horror older than the city's stones, and perhaps claim an even darker throne for himself. He closed his eyes, listening to the whispers of the dead that clung to his soul. Their faint voice, almost indistinguishable from his own thoughts, whispered, "Revenge is a blade that cuts the hand that wields it." Opening his eyes, Thradusa made his decision. He stepped forward, his obsidian blade humming with a violet glow, and placed it against Mithrostia's chest. "The council will pay," he said, his tone cold, "but not as you intend." Mithrostia's smile faded, replaced by a thin line of disbelief. "What?" the warlord asked, voice trembling for the first time. "Your seal is not the city's heart," Thradusa replied, his voice now echoing with the power of the void. "It binds the very darkness you seek to command. If you break it, you will drown in it. I will shatter the seal, but I will not release the horror. I will bind it to myself, using your knowledge to cage it and become the one who—" He paused, feeling the weight of centuries of dread coiling around his spirit. "Becomes the guardian of the abyss. I will return to Velthorin, not as a destroyer, but as the lock that seals the darkness forever." Mithrostia stared, eyes flickering between awe and contempt. Finally, he lowered his hand. "Very well, apprentice, play your role. But remember, once the darkness is bound, it never forgets who first called its name." In the weeks that followed, whispers spread through Velthorin about the Shadow Keeper, a figure cloaked in darkness who had saved the city from a fate none could have imagined. Some called him a hero, others called him a tyrant. Thradusa walked the streets at night, his violet veins faintly glowing, listening to the murmurs of the dead that still clung to his soul. He knew the price he had paid, a life forever bound to the abyss, a heart that beat with the rhythm of vengeance, and a destiny that would forever be entangled with the darkness he once sought to wield. But as he stood atop the city's highest tower, watching the sunrise bleed into the marble spires, a thought struck him. Perhaps the true revenge was not in burning Velthorin to ash, but in becoming the unbreakable shield that prevented the world from ever falling into that same abyss again. And somewhere deep within the forgotten catacombs beneath the city, A faint whisper echoed, "When the next warlord comes, remember, darkness can be a weapon, but it can also be a wall." Thradisar turned his back on the sunrise, his obsidian blade glinting in the morning light, and vanished into the winding alleys. The city breathed, unaware that its salvation and its greatest threat now walked the same path, a path forged in pain, tempered by purpose, and shrouded forever in the ember of vengeance.